Hi, I'm Kara, life coach, wife, and mom to 4 incredible and unique children. It wasn't all that long ago that my son received a diagnosis that had my world come crashing down. I lacked the ability to see past the circumstances, which felt impossible, and the dreams I once had for my life and family felt destroyed. Fast forward past many years of surviving and not at all thriving, and you'll see a mom who trusts that she can handle anything that comes her way and has access to the power and confidence that once felt so lacking. I created the Special Needs Mom podcast to create connection and community with moms who find themselves feeling trapped and with no one who really understands. My intention is to spark the flare of possibility in your own life and rekindle your ability to dream. This isn't a podcast about your special needs child. This is a podcast about you. If you are a mom who feels anxious, alone, or stuck, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Hello, and welcome to the Special Needs Mom podcast. I'm very glad you're here. This episode is going to be let's play solitaire. So I started playing solitaire. It was enjoyable. I liked it. But also maybe not exactly what I'm going for in terms of, I wasn't necessarily looking to find the next app to numb myself, to check out. So I've weaned myself from solitaire, and now I feel like I'm spending a lot less time on my phone, which for me was a win. I think it's also opened up space for me to be able to do things like watercolor. I started watercoloring Really enjoying it. Let me know if you are a fellow watercolorer. It's really pushing up against all of my perfectionist nature, wanting to paint in the lines, wanting to do all this and that you can't do with watercolor necessarily. But I'm really having fun with it. And my kids are like, wow, Mom, that's so good. And so it makes me feel good too. So that has been fun. I've been buying the books from, what's her name? Emily Lex. She's a watercolor artist and she sells these little, like, basically watercolor painting books where she gives you step by step. And so I've been doing those and having like a really good time. If I was still on social media, maybe I'd post a picture, but I guess we won't be doing that. Oh, what else did I want to share? Okay. So we talked about social media. Okay. Kind of closing that topic. I was like, okay, but what is missing is the desire to connect. And so I feel like there's these impulses that I have of like, oh, I could share this on social media. I could share this some way. And that's still an authentic desire that I'm going to let it marinate for a minute. Because the question for me is, so how do I do that? If it's not social media, how do I do that? I have some ideas right now, but nothing I'm ready to commit to. But I think that's where I'm thinking, okay, well, where are the actual people that I can share this with? So this is the people that I text and Vox in my life. Do you guys know the Voxer app? I'm obsessed. And or leaning into the community, the Pathway to Peace coaching community that I am curating and building. And so more about that later. Okay, so that's kind of where I've been in terms of the social media. And it really is kind of funny, like to think back at how impulsive I was. Like, I don't think I realized until I took them off my phone and like how automatic it was. I mean, let's be honest, I can't pick up my phone still without getting distracted on text or emails or schedule or something. So I needed one less thing on my plate. So let's see. Okay, so think back to September. I shared an episode about an incident we had at my home. I left it vague on purpose. More recently, I was like, maybe I'll tell the whole story, but I'm not quite ready. But you can go back and listen to the episode. I'll have the link in the show notes. Long story short, my home had an incident in it, yes, related to my disabled son, who does have impaired judgment, and it shows. And so we've been in a state of disrepair and construction in my home since September. Now, that's not ideal. It's not ideal even when you're like, yes, let's do a home remodel. This will be fun. That's still hard. It's even less awesome when you did not say this was a good time for it. In fact, you would have said, absolutely no, we will just live with how our house looks. But what has made it better is not doing it alone. And what I'll say is I brought my friend in, Nicole Christensen with Casa Christensen. She lives in Texas, but she designed our new bathroom is what we remodeled. And she did it all through the internet. And it was just, I can't say the name of the project, otherwise I'll give away what happened. It's a cute name. I'll say that. And how about this? Email me and I will say the name because it is really cute. We named the project after the incident. And so it took something and like turned my frown upside down. As in, I got to work with my friend. I got to have support. And I think what I'm reflecting on as I share the story is how deeply I believe in not doing things alone. Could I have saved some dollars in not hiring my friend? Yeah, I could have. But that would have equated to hours and hours of stress and like not fun. And so I believe in bringing on support where we can. And I'm just so glad I did. So many times I was just like, man, self, I appreciate you that you did that because that was a really smart decision given what you need in your life. So I'm sending her pictures of the work now and it's really fun to see it all coming to fruition. She and I, and then a whole other group of college friends that we collectively are known as Mojo. It's a long story, but there's 7 of us friends and we all went to college together, not even all in the same years, but have stayed in touch and have just such a neat way of supporting each other. And so we have been redesigning, redoing, renovating, if you will, a friend's bedroom who is going through a divorce that she did not want or choose. So many of you have been through that and know how hard it is. And so we came up with a way of supporting. Actually, it's funny because we were just talking about it today. Literally, it started as, hey, let's make a care package for her. Like, actually, it started with my friend saying, hey, there's these cool painting books. I think our friend would like them. Let's buy one. And so that's how I ended up with mine, as I was buying one for her. I was like, well, this looks fun. I'm going to buy one for me and we can do it together. And so it started off with this care package that we're like, let's create a couple things to just give a tangible expression of our care. Know she's being thought of, and for us to kind of give her mementos knowing that she's not alone. And then one thing led to another, and we're like, why not redo her room? Actually, I can't even remember how we got there, but it's just been really, really fun. So I've been distracted in a good way doing that for our friend, and that has been really fun. What else? My boy's been sick, and that kind of, that's how I ended up here with this kind of episode versus more of a well thought out episode, is that my first priority is my boy Levi. Well, all of my kids, but Levi got sick. And so I got to practice our emergency protocol routine, make sure I'm not getting rusty on that, and do the whole ER thing on Friday night. And it's kind of like my own version of Friday Night Lights. You guys watch that show? I love that show. But I always make myself laugh at these jokes. Because, like Friday Night Lights, it's like football, right? But my version is in the ER where you're under these bright lights. Get it? Friday Night Lights. And I think especially funny because it was Friday night and all these football players were coming in with their injuries. So every time I saw them, I was like, yeah, us too, our version of Friday Night Lights. Okay. And lastly, got to wrap this up because I got to go get those kids from school. I think I want to share gratitude. I think, so I mentioned, we did this ER thing and my husband happened to be working late that night. And so I was on my own. So not really, I wouldn't say it's an easy situation, but I would say it was made, I don't know if easy is the right word. It was made so much less heavy because of coincidence, but because of some work that I had done, some personal, internal, emotional processing work I had done earlier that day. And I was working with a tapping coach. If you don't know what tapping is, Google it. EFT tapping, or reach out. I'd be glad to explain it to you. It is something that I use to support myself and in some cases my clients. But it's really a very, very helpful tool for processing a lot of emotion, including trauma. So it's perfect for us special needs moms. And I got to acknowledge and recognize a whisper, an underlying whisper of feeling, of emotion that I had. And the words I would use to describe them was a feeling of chaotic or chaos or out of control. And as soon as I recognized that this was the underlying hum, I was able to kind of see different things in my life that I was holding onto, I was gripping onto, and it just felt so stressful. I could tell I was in a rigid type state where things did not feel loose and dynamic and flowing. They felt all of the opposite. And as I worked through to acknowledge and to process these emotions, what came clear to me was, I don't have to hold on to these things the way that I was. I can let go of them. Yes, there are consequences. And in some of the cases that I had specifically, it's the consequence is some money wasted or money spent that would not be going towards what I thought it would be going toward. And generally, I don't that's not an ideal situation. I would not choose that. But can I deal with that? Yeah. And if I look at the gift that I got in kind of processing that, I was I feel so much more in control. I feel so much more at peace because I had let go of that which I was trying to control. That was uncontrollable, mainly the future. And so this, when I talk about my night at the ER, was so much less worse because I wasn't carrying everything on top of what I needed to do to care for my boy. Because let's just be honest, that is a lot, is to be in this situation where, where we're caring for these medically complex children or these behaviorally complicated children or these behaviorally challenging children. And so just to be able to be there with the sole purpose and freedom of all I have to do is care for him right now. Like, I know that doesn't sound that light, but when you hold it up in contrast to all that was holding before, it felt so much better. So that's just one gratitude and maybe even some personal work that I've been doing that has been valuable to me. And okay, last two things. One is I also got in last week, I got to meet Andy Torres. And if you're like, who's Andy? Well, you know Andy. She is part of the Special Needs Mom podcast team. I have Andy and Alex, and Andy makes all the things beautiful. So if you've ever seen something that you're like, oh, that's so pretty, Andy made it. And if you've ever seen something that you're like, ooh, that could use some work, I made it. No, she's very gifted and a big part of the behind the scenes here, as well as Alex, our editor. And so I got to see her in real life, which was super fun. Okay. And then what was the last thing? Oh, okay. I wanted to talk more about the Pathway to Peace coaching community. I know you might be sick of hearing me talk about it, but I'm not going to stop talking about it because it is the biggest source, I think, of what's the word? I don't know. I mean, I'm proud of it. That's definitely coming up as I'm thinking about it. But I think just there's something about watching it work, for lack of better words, like watching connections be made, watching the women in the community connect with each other. It's like, oh my gosh, it is fulfilling a space of what I intended it to do, right? But like we all know, sometimes our intentions and what we actually, produce are not the same things. So it's just been really fun. So I feel like now I'm like, oh, there's this really cool thing, but you can't come yet. I'm like, oh, how do I transition this? Let me just say this. I will be opening it again in the future. I'll say that's probably January, February. It's not certain yet, but that's going to be probably where we're going to be at. So if you're like, oh, okay, I want to make sure I don't miss that intel of when open enrollment starts, join the waitlist. And you can do so by seeing the show notes. So, and now I just looked at the time and I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to be late to get my kids from school. So I'm going to rapidly wrap up and see y'all in the next episode.